How's it going? And welcome to the Creator's Spotlight. So welcome to the Creator's Spotlight Episode 1. How's it going? I'll be your host, Mikey McManus. I look at some of the creators that are online on YouTube and who dwell amongst the forums of Facebook, Twitter and the likes. I thought it'd be quite interesting during this viral lockdown to invite some of these people and get them to discuss their creating abilities, where they're from, what gets their motor turning, and indeed what gets their creative juices flowing. You might be wondering why I'm doing it in a sort of interview style like this. I was trying to harness my inner talk show host, if you will, the Michael Parkinson of the world, or maybe the Graham Norton. I have a YouTube channel and I do various things on it that are normally related to my work, but as I am not working at the moment, I'm finding it hard to scratch that employment itch, so to speak. So I'm here creating content. You may remember me from such shows as Landscape Photography, Is It the Hardest Genre to Film, and Lockdown Lowdown. And I'm doing this one also, the Creator's Spotlight, where I take a journey down online social media personalities and to share their work and their thoughts with you, the good law-abiding citizens of the world who are staying firmly locked up in your houses with your families or indeed on your own. I threw a call out and I've requested people to send me videos and I was inundated. So this will be episode 1 of the Creator Spotlight, and we'll have 3 guests joining us today whom you can meet, learn about them and then go follow their channel and watch some of their content. So I would like to introduce you to my guests. Today we're joined on the show by David, Bernard and Mara. These 3 creators are stationed all over the world. I'll have them introduce themselves and tell you where they are and what they do, but I will also ask them a series of questions and we'll see what happens in relates to their answers. So good day, fellow creators. Perhaps you could let us know who you are and where you're from, and we'll take it from there.
Well, thanks, Mickey. Nice to be here with you. I'm Bernard Brunet. I'm from Gatineau, Quebec, the province of Quebec in Canada, and I'm a landscape photographer, but I also do the occasional wedding and portrait and stuff like that.
Thanks for asking me, Mikey. My name's David Griffiths and I'm a landscape photographer and videographer living on the island of Anglesey in North Wales. And my photography covers the island and Snowdonia on the mainland.
Hey there, Mikey. Thank you very much for having me on your channel on this. And who am I? Well, my name is Mara. I'm Mara Korma and I'm a photographic artist. What does that mean? It means if you've got photography and art, I live in the crossover where I use photography to work with concepts.
Introductions out of the way, let's crack on with question number 1. What inspires you to create?
Well, when I look out of my front window, I'm looking across an 80-acre lake towards the sea, and when I look out of my back window, I can see the mountains of Snowdonia. So that really helps to keep me inspired to create.
What inspired me, I think in 2004, my first trip to China, me and my wife became parents for the first time. We adopted a little Chinese girl. And as we were in the country and going around in different places in the country, I fell in love with the countryside. And all I had with me in 2004 was a small CyberShot camera, Canon CyberShot 3.2 megapixel. And that's how my passion for photography started.
That's a really tough question to answer. I think it's a combination of being really curious about the world and some of the big questions that we have. Maybe also a really big part of it is that I just don't seem to be able to not do it and cope with life. I think maybe it's as much a coping mechanism for me as it is for anything else. You know, if I'm stressed, if I'm wound up, etc., give me a camera and I will calm down. And as part of that, I create. It's just part of how I see and how I deal with the world.
Tell me, what mythical creature would improve the world if it existed?
Dragons? Dragons, come on! The world would be a better place with dragons. You know, the big winged fire breathing type. Yeah. If we're talking more pop culture as opposed to myths and legends, what would I say? Godzilla. We need Godzilla. Yes, definitely Godzilla. Godzilla and dragons.
Well, right now I'd have to say that the Welsh dragon would be perfect to patrol the border with England just now.
A mythical god, a mythical creature. I like this little guy with the bow and arrow there, Cupid. If this guy was real, and if he can go around the world and inject more love into people, penetrate their heart, inject some love in there, I think the place would be a better place, for sure. 100% sure.
Also, let myself and the rest of the audience know, is there a particular piece of work that you have that you are most proud of?
There's one in 2015. We were in Shanghai, me and my daughter, and we were taking a walk. It was the evening, it was dark outside. It's a big city. Shanghai is big, and if some of you know the Buns, it's a big commercial area. It was all lit up with the towers and everything. That one there, when I took that, there was all I had is a small tiny tripod with the Fuji X-T1, and I posted on the internet on Flickr, and after a couple of days I had 10,000 views on that one. That was a long exposure, minimal stuff I did in Lightroom. I was in China, and from my bedroom, from the bedroom apartment over there, I put it on Flickr, and that was the result. And I'm really proud of that one. Actually, it's hanging on my kitchen wall right now. It's I printed 4x5 of this one.
It's a project called the Ghost Project, and this was the point where I very much moved from being a photographer into being a photographic artist. The project came around when my mum was unfortunately, she had terminal cancer, and that has a way of getting you to evaluate all sorts of things. And she was in hospital. She was going in for what we hoped would be a life-saving operation, or one that would at least buy her time. I went with her in the morning to, drop her off, and while she waited to go in, and as I sat there and the medics came, and it was a bit of a Hail Mary, this. There was a very significant chance that this was either not going to work or that she wouldn't make it off the table. And as they led her away, I had this question came into my mind. What if I died tomorrow but I didn't pass over? So what if I became a ghost? What would I do? Where would I go? What would happen? And that really stuck with me. And I then created this project, this body of work, exploring that idea, looking at near-death experiences. My mum had several of them during her illness. It was the first time that I really used photography to investigate a concept, to not just try and portray a concept, but to actually investigate it and try and work through ideas and stuff. And that project has very much formed the foundation of everything else that I do as part of my career as a photographic artist. So that is definitely the one that I'm most proud of. Yeah.
We seem to be having some technical difficulties with David and the question that asking about his most proud work. This seems to have gone. So on his behalf, I would quite like to show you this image here of a sunset where geese are taking off across the water in the middle of said sunset shot. A lovely piece by David, and I hope that you agree that its title of Homeward Bound is very much apt in this shot, and that it is a warm, inviting feel of indeed the thought of heading home. Also, it could be the fact that David's getting on in life in a little bit and just promptly forgot to record that whole section for me. But I'm not a cynic at all, and that I'm clearly here to help and provide that little bit of filler in a comedy way, of course, with the greatest of respect for Mr. Griffith, because he is indeed a fine photographer. Anyway, please do carry on. If it were up to you, what fun and interesting ways would you come up with for countries to settle their differences rather than war?
Well, that's a good question. If some of the power people, or some of the people in power, those big countries, can meet on the moon with lightsaber and settle the score over there, to me, that would make sense. And leave the poor people, leave the rest of us, out of this. And you guys want it bigger, you want to fight over something, just go on the moon, get some lightsaber, go at it, man, go at it.
Well, that's a tough one. I suppose it would have to be something that produces a result. So, for example, a mass pillow fight would probably be rubbish, because how would you work out who'd won? But I was kind of thinking something like Donald Trump versus Angela Merkel in a sack race.
I'm going to go with Rollerball. Do you remember that film? I can't remember when it came out, but I remember seeing it when I was a kid. And the idea was that instead of having armies fighting it out on a battlefield, basically you got guys in teams on roller skates battling it out in an arena. And I think we should do that. I think we should do that, and I think they should get bonus points or some sort of an advantage if the outfits are covered in sequins and sparkly bits, feathers and things like that. And I think basically the more outrageous the better. So the more outrageous the outfit, the better, the better position they are. Because my word, would that be fantastic. I just love the idea of certain countries, I won't name them, certain countries in sparkly outfits on the roller skates, slugging it out with each other. I think we should do that, yeah. So, rollerball, yeah.
Is there a place that you've never visited that you would consider a bucket list and would love to go there to create or shoot something?
I really didn't have to think very long about this one at all. I've been lucky enough to visit the States a few times, but one place I've always wanted to go and never had the opportunity are the Canadian Rockies. So perhaps somebody from Banff might like to invite me over and I'll be across the pond like a shot.
Pyramiden. It's a Russian outpost that's in part of Norway. I believe it's Svalbard. And I would definitely like to go there. I've already visited Pripyat and Chernobyl, and I would very much like to go to Pyramiden now. It was a mining outpost and it's mostly abandoned now. I have quite a fascination with abandoned buildings and nature coming back and reclaiming what has been abandoned. And abandoned towns and abandoned cities are, that's fantastic. I love that. And that is definitely top of my bucket list, yeah.
On my bucket list, what would come first? Kilimanjaro. The mountain in Africa still has some glacier at the top there. I think that would be quite the accomplishment, going there and going up and taking photo either early morning or in the evening, whichever time of the day. I think they do the last bit of ascent during the night, so you arrive for the sunrise and you're above the cloud, you're above basically the highest peak in Africa, and you don't need to be an expert to go up there. That would be my top of the line, you know, on my bucket list for sure.
Now, if you had the opportunity, what inanimate object would you remove from existence?
Again, another easy one to answer. Living where I do on an island that has a nuclear power station, I'd like to get rid of electricity pylons if at all possible.
In all honesty, can I have a part of an inanimate object? Do I have to have the whole one? Because what I want to do is, I want to get, this is going to sound really weird, but can we get rid of the wings on sanitary towels? Wings on sanitary towels. There we go. Let's get rid of them.
Well, that's an very easy question to answer, because all you need to do is take all the money away, take all the diamonds away, take all the golds away, take all the silver away from people, make it worth nothing, and the place would be a much better place than it is now. I mean, to me, that's common sense. If I had the power, that's what I would do. Take the money away, take all the riches, you know, all of that out the door. It would be a better place for sure.
Well, thank you all for taking the time to answer those questions.
Before I go, I want to have a word with your audience, if I may.
Of course, yes, please do.
If you've enjoyed this and you haven't done it yet, why not subscribe to Mikey now and join him next time?
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you, Mara, thank you, Bernard, and indeed thank you, David, for your time, your effort, and your answers to the premiere episode of Creators Spotlight.
Cheers.
Thanks, Mickey, for this interview, and until next time, folks, keep shooting.
Thank you for taking part. If you'd like to take part as well, why don't you drop me a message in the comments below, or indeed via Twitter, Facebook, or any of the links that are available on my YouTube page. Please don't forget to go and subscribe to these guys. Check out their channels, they're doing some great work, and it's an opportunity for you to see how other people are doing it, or indeed for people of all creative abilities to get together and just share a little bit of info, insight, and the likes while we're all abiding by the rules and staying inside. It will get a bit difficult as time goes on, I would imagine, and it's always nice to have this little bit of an outlet to keep sane. So thank you very much for tuning in and being a part of this premiere episode. There will be other episodes following, featuring other creators from around the world giving us their insight and look on life. If you'd like to see more, hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified as soon as a new upload comes up. And indeed, like I said before, if you wish to take part, let me know. Thanks again, thanks to all my guests, and have a pleasant day and stay safe.